Someone's O has got to go. Dricus Du Plessis looking to stay undefeated in the UFC and defend his middleweight championship against Khamzat Chimaev. Du Plessis is making his third title defense, coming off a win over Sean Strickland for the second time, riding an 11-fight win streak. Chimaev undefeated in his pro MMA career, 8-0 in the UFC, coming off a first-round submission over former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker. Set it up and break it down. Welcome in CBS Sports combat analyst Brian Campbell. We get an awesome matchup in Chicago with a title on the line. In BC, this could really go either way. The champ Du Plessis is the underdog. How are you evaluating this middleweight title fight?
Well, first of all, I'm just excited to see it, Hakeem, as this is an A-plus matchup between two gentlemen who are in the top 10 pound for pound of my CBS Sports pound for pound rankings. But how I look at this is such a perfect style in contrast. The idea that the striking heavy Du Plessis, who is very well rounded, by the way, is going in there against a violent, efficient, brutal finisher in Chimaev, somebody we still don't have all the answers about. There's still a lot of questions, but the fact that we don't know that is really what fuels and what makes this matchup this good. These are two alphas. These are two A-sides coming together. The fact that Chimaev is the underdog, is the betting favorite, shows you how great this matchup is, because Du Plessis has been on a run and a half of current and former champions, each time stepping up to a higher level, bringing it when it matters most. This is a battle of titans in every possible way. If it goes early, it favors Chimaev. If it goes late, it favors the champion. In between, your guess is as good as mine. Obviously, the wrestling of Chimaev is going to be the big question mark of DDP. Can he handle it? But I think we're going to learn a lot about both of these guys over 5 rounds.
You wrote on CBSSports.com about Du Plessis and his path to greatness. With respect to DJ Khaled, all he does is win, BC. Aside from defending his title, what's at stake for Dricus Du Plessis on Saturday night?
To some degree, a further extension of the fact that he's becoming one of their biggest stars on the global level. Of Dutch origin, of course, he was raised in South Africa. He's fought in that Oceanic Australia region a bunch, going through a lot of big names to get here, the Robert Whittakers, the Israel Adesanyas. But he has proven in a very short period of time that he's one of the best fighters in the world, in the top 5 of the pound for pound, as I mentioned before. And the best part about it is it's very easy to overlook him. I didn't think he was a legit contender when he was originally climbing the ladder. Why? Oh, it's the same reason all of his opponents doubt him. He looks a little lumbering, raw, sometimes slow. His technique can be a little bit all over the place at times, but that awkwardness works into his favor. Why? Because he is an absolute gamer. He follows his coach's directions very well. He's very good in high-pressure situations to make the adjustments, and he just have that clutch skill where if a fight is close, he knows how to win it. Oh, by the way, he's also an absolute tank, and I wonder how he even makes 185 or how he used to compete at welterweight. But the point is, when this guy comes to win, he backs up all the words he says, and as you see on that graphic, he is quickly climbing middleweight history in the UFC.
Du Plessis 3-0 in UFC title fights, looking to make it 4-0. Chimaev getting his first chance here to win a title. He listed at favorite at -235. Undefeated in his pro MMA career, 8-0 in the UFC, coming off that first-round submission over former middleweight champ Robert Whittaker. But BC, as you wrote on CBSSports.com, he's lacking consistency.
In a big way. Look, at times when you see him in there, like that Robert Whittaker fight, he looks like the pound-for-pound king. He looks like the villain at the end of the video game. It's what I mentioned earlier, the violence, the efficiency that he takes you down, and he typically only needs about 30 seconds to get anyone down. And a lot of guys he's able to finish in that same sequence. What about those questions, though? Hey, never been past 3 rounds. Even though he's unbeaten in the UFC, there's been some fights he looked human. He faded late in the 3rd round against Kamaru Usman in that win. He memorably went into a war with Gilbert Burns that I scored in the direction of Burns. But it's almost like every other fight, he comes back out and destroys the competition to remind you who he is. But if you look at his activity, he's fought just once in 3 of the last 4 years. He's had serious COVID injury, illnesses, visa issues. He missed weight for that pay-per-view against Nate Diaz by a staggering amount. He's been consistent at being inconsistent. The best thing is he's still undefeated. He's in my pound-for-pound top 10. But I literally don't know if he's going to win the middleweight championship in 2 minutes or if he's going to expose himself in the championship rounds. That's why this is the true make-or-break fight in the career of Khamzat Chimaev.
Yeah, he's won 5 of his past 7 fights via stoppage in the first round, so you know he can inflict some pain. Co-main event features the UFC debut of Aaron Pico facing Lerone Murphy in a featherweight bout. BC, it's a long-awaited UFC debut for Aaron Pico, who was once a big-time prospect. What should we know about him as he's set to make his UFC debut on Saturday night?
I mean, he was called the biggest prospect in the history of this sport when Bellator MMA signed him while he was still in high school. Look, as a high school wrestler, he was #1 in the nation. As a boxer, he trained in Freddie Roach's Wildcard Gym and reportedly held his own with Hall of Famer Miguel Cotto. This guy has every tool and skill and this demeanor, this classy way he carries himself. He's arguably in the best shape of any fighter in the game. He looks the part in the suits. He talks a big game. This week, he's been doing nothing but talking trash at the current champion Alexander Volkanovski. The question surrounding Pico is the fact that he lost his pro debut and he suffered some early losses by KO that he probably shouldn't have. But since then, he's really tightened his game after moving to Jackson Wink MMA in New Mexico. Got a new look at things. He leads with his wrestling first, but you know he has power in both hands and the technique to knock you out at any time. When we are talking about potential, I don't even need to hedge this. If he wins against Lerone Murphy on Saturday, which is a very dangerous matchup in the co-main event, and it's a last-minute replacement considering Murphy's undefeated, Pico will be the next challenger for Alexander Volkanovski's featherweight title. They've been going back and forth in the media. Rumors are UFC matchmakers love Pico. Why wouldn't they? PFL MMA let him go. UFC picked him up to get a 28-year-old finished product who's ready for stardom. Plug him in Saturday night. We're going to find out in Chicago whether the real deal is under that skin.
UFC 319 coming your way Saturday night from Chicago. Brian Campbell will join us post-fight here on HQ. BC, great to see you. As you take a look at the main card for UFC 319, one of the notable fights on the card, Michael Venom Page facing former middleweight title challenger Jared Cannonier, MVP 2-1 in his UFC career, all leading up to the main event. Dricus Du Plessis putting his middleweight championship on the line against Khamzat Chimaev. We'll have full highlights and post-fight analysis right here on CBS Sports HQ.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you.
Big news coming out of the NFL. A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
With highlights.
What a finish at the final round of play.
And in-depth analysis.
Can they three-peat? Tony Romo joins the conversation.
What can you say about this game?
When you need your sports in a snap,
we're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
Find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.